not abandon my loyal holiday loaners. Besides, how?
When the 1984 cult classic, Night of the Comet, needed someone who could portray both vulnerability and fierce determination while wielding a machine gun against zombie hordes, Catherine Mary Stewart delivered with an authenticity that made audiences believe one California Valley girl could indeed survive the apocalypse. Her penetrating gaze and natural charisma turned what could have been a forgettable B-movie into a cultural touchstone that still resonates decades later. So, what the hell happened to Catherine Mary Stewart? Let's fade to black. Born on April 22, 1959, in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, Catherine Mary Stewart grew up far from the Hollywood spotlight. The daughter of a science teacher, father and homemaker mother, Stewart initially pursued dance, studying ballet from a young age and developing the discipline and physical presence that would later serve her acting career. Her formal training took her to London, where she attended the prestigious Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, honing her craft with the seriousness of someone who saw acting as an art form rather than a path to celebrity. After small roles in local Canadian productions, Stewart's early break came when she was cast in the science fiction film The Apple, 1980, a bizarre disco musical that flopped spectacularly but showcased her ability to commit fully to even the most outlandish material. Though the film would later gain cult status, it was her persistence through this rocky start that revealed her resilience. The breakthrough that truly launched Stewart came with two roles that couldn't be more different yet somehow defined an era. In 1984, she starred in The Last Starfighter as Maggie Gordon, the supportive girlfriend of the video game-playing protagonist. While not the lead, Stewart brought warmth and dimension to what could have been a thankless role. But it was her turn as Reggie in Night of the Comet that same year that cemented her status in cult film history. Night of the Comet was made on a modest $700,000 budget, but went on to gross over $14 million, becoming one of the surprise hits of the year. As Reggie Belmont, a theater usher and martial arts enthusiast who survives a comet that turns most of humanity to dust and others into zombies, Stewart created an iconic character, practical, tough, and distinctly feminine without being sexualized. Critics noted her magnetic screen presence and ability to ground the fantastical premise with authentic emotional reactions. The film's success earned Stewart a Saturn Award nomination and established her as one of the promising young actresses of the mid-1980s. In an era when female characters in genre films were often relegated to screaming or being rescued, Stewart's Reggie was refreshingly capable, firing Uzis, driving fast cars, and outsmarting the film's villains through quick thinking rather than superhuman abilities. Following this dual breakthrough, Stewart entered her peak period, landing roles that showcased her particular blend of vulnerability and strength. In Weekend at Bernie's, 1989, she played Gwen Saunders, bringing a straight woman sensibility to the film's increasingly absurd premise. The comedy became a surprise hit, grossing $30 million and further demonstrating Stewart's versatility. Television also became a showcase for Stewart's talents during this period. She landed a 2-year run on the soap opera Days of Our Lives as Kayla Brady from 1986 to 1987, proving she could handle the grueling pace of daytime television while delivering emotional performances that resonated with viewers. Her work earned her a devoted fanbase that followed her career even after she left the show. In Nighthawks, 1988, a thriller starring Sylvester Stallone, Stewart again showed her ability to hold her own alongside bigger names. Though not a blockbuster, the film allowed her to display a harder edge than some of her previous roles. This period established Stewart as an actress with range who could move between genres: sci-fi, horror, comedy, drama, while maintaining a consistent quality and commitment to character. What made Stewart stand out in this era was her presence, an intensity in her gaze combined with natural charisma that made even smaller roles memorable. Unlike some contemporaries who leaned heavily on physical appearance, Stewart built her performances on emotional authenticity, making even the most outlandish scenarios feel grounded and relatable. But as the 1990s approached, Stewart faced the headwinds that challenge many actresses, particularly those associated with genre films. Hollywood's notorious age bias began to affect the roles she was offered, with younger actresses being cast in parts that might have gone to Stewart just a few years earlier. The industry's cyclical nature meant that the type of mid-budget films that had been her bread and butter were becoming less common, replaced by either micro-budget independent productions or big-budget blockbusters. The collapse of the mid-budget studio film particularly affected actresses like Stewart, who had built careers on solid performances in films that weren't necessarily designed to be franchises or tentpoles. As studios began to consolidate and focus on guaranteed returns, the space for actors to build steady careers through consistent work rather than breakout stardom narrowed considerably. Additionally, the typecasting that often follows genre success became a challenge. After proving her ability to play strong women in science fiction and horror contexts, Stewart found herself offered similar roles that didn't allow her to showcase her full range. Though these parts provided steady work, they limited the perception of what she could bring to different projects. By the mid-1990s, the landscape of film and television had shifted dramatically. The rise of the high-concept blockbuster and the emphasis on younger stars meant that many talented actors of Stewart's generation found themselves navigating an increasingly difficult terrain. Roles for women in their 30s became scarcer, often limited to playing mothers or authority figures, rather than leads with their own stories. This period also coincided with personal choices. Stewart married and had children, reportedly choosing to focus more on family life than career advancement at times. Unlike some actors who pursue fame at all costs, Stewart's approach to her career suggests someone who valued balance and personal fulfillment alongside professional success. While some actors might have disappeared entirely when faced with these industry headwinds, Stewart demonstrated remarkable adaptability. She pivoted to television, taking recurring roles in shows like Highlander, the series, and made-for-TV movies that allowed her to continue working steadily while maintaining more stability than the feast or famine nature of film work. This television work revealed another dimension of Stewart's talent: her ability to create fully realized characters even in limited screen time. In Highlander, she appeared in multiple episodes as Dr. Anne Lindsay, bringing depth and nuance to what could have been a one-note character. The show's passionate fan base appreciated her contributions, adding yet another cult following to her resume. Stewart also began expanding into voice work and independent films that, while not high-profile, allowed her to explore different types of characters and working environments. This willingness to adapt rather than cling to former glory demonstrated a pragmatic approach to the industry and a genuine love of the craft rather than the trappings of celebrity. In the early 2000s, Stewart embraced another pivot that would carry her career forward: a return to her genre roots through convention appearances and retrospective screenings. Rather than distancing herself from the cult classics that made her name, she leaned into her status as a beloved figure in science fiction and horror cinema. This embrace of her legacy connected her with new generations of fans discovering films like Night of the Comet through midnight screenings and streaming platforms. At conventions, Stewart revealed herself to be thoughtful and appreciative of her fans, sharing stories from her career with genuine warmth rather than reluctance. This engagement with her past work strengthened her reputation and created opportunities for new projects specifically designed to appeal to her established fanbase. During this period, Stewart also returned to independent cinema, appearing in films like The Girl Next Door, 2007, not the teen comedy, but a disturbing drama based on true events, showcasing her willingness to take on challenging material that pushed her beyond her comfort zone. These smaller projects allowed her creative fulfillment, even as mainstream opportunities fluctuated. Perhaps most significantly, Stewart began production on a Wobet-A documentary about Night of the Comet, exploring the film's unlikely journey to cult status and its influence on later apocalyptic stories featuring female protagonists. This project demonstrated her understanding of her place in film history and her desire to contextualize the work that resonated most strongly with audiences. In recent years, Stewart has maintained a presence in both film and television while expanding into new creative territories. She appeared in the Hallmark movies A Christmas in Vermont, 2016, and Wedding Bells, 2016, showing her ability to connect with audiences in the increasingly important realm of holiday programming. These films, while not critically acclaimed, provided Stewart with steady work and exposure to new viewers who might not be familiar with her earlier projects. She returned to horror with The Monkey's Paw, 2018, demonstrating that her facility with genre material remains undiminished. Her performance received positive notices, with several reviewers noting that she brought gravitas and emotional reality to material that could have easily descended into camp. Beyond acting, Stewart has embraced teaching, leading master classes and workshops for young actors. This passing of knowledge represents another evolution in her relationship with the industry, positioning her as not just a performer, but a mentor with valuable experience to share. Her students reportedly appreciate her practical approach and emphasis on sustainable career strategies rather than the pursuit of overnight stardom. Currently residing in Los Angeles, Stewart maintains an active social media presence where she engages directly with fans and promotes both new projects and retrospectives of her classic work. Unlike some actors who seem trapped in nostalgia, Stewart's approach balances appreciation for her past with continued forward momentum. What makes Catherine Mary Stewart's legacy enduring isn't just her participation in beloved cult classics, but the quality and consistency she brought to each role throughout a 4-decade career. In an industry that often values flash over substance, Stewart's work emphasizes craft, the careful building of characters through specific choices, rather than broad strokes or star power. Her contribution to female representation in genre cinema also cannot be overstated. Before strong female characters became a marketing buzzword, Stewart was creating women who felt authentic, capable without being superhuman, vulnerable without being victims. Her Reggie in Night of the Comet helped establish a template for the practical, resourceful female protagonist that would later become more common in apocalyptic and horror narratives. Perhaps most impressively, Stewart navigated the notoriously difficult transition from ingenue to character actress with grace and pragmatism. While many actresses find their careers effectively over once they age out of leading lady roles, Stewart adapted, finding new venues for her talents and maintaining connections with audiences through multiple stages of her career. Her willingness to embrace rather than reject her cult status also speaks to a healthy relationship with fame and legacy. Unlike actors who resent being associated with early genre work, Stewart has shown appreciation for the films and fans that supported her career, understanding that creating memorable characters in beloved films is an achievement worth celebrating rather than a limitation to overcome. The through line in Stewart's career has been presence, an ability to be fully committed in the moment, regardless of genre or budget. Whether fighting zombies in Night of the Comet, navigating soap opera twists in Days of Our Lives, or bringing warmth to Hallmark holiday films, Stewart approaches each role with the same professionalism and attention to detail. For aspiring actors, Stewart's career offers valuable lessons in longevity and adaptability. Her willingness to pivot between mediums, embrace different types of productions, and maintain connection with fans demonstrates how talent, combined with flexibility, can sustain a career through industry changes that end many others. Catherine Mary Stewart may not have become a household name or an A-list star, but she achieved something perhaps more remarkable: a sustained career built on quality performances that continue to find new audiences decades after they were created. In an industry often defined by fleeting success and forgotten talents, Stewart's enduring presence testifies to the value of craft, consistency, and authentic connection with audiences. If you enjoyed this look at Catherine Mary Stewart's career, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I really do look forward to seeing you in the next one.